Hi there, and welcome back. Another video and another review for more Bruce Willis discussions, my thoughts, and today, of course, I'm actually going to review and talk about Hostage, which came out 2005. I think was released on March 11, 2005 in United States, and this is a custom Blu-ray cover. And this is also the back. And this movie actually wasn't in movie theater released. I think this movie was more released on DVD, VHS, and later Blu-ray. And I really love this film. Another favorite Bruce Willis movies of mine. And I actually just finished today. And I really had fun with this film. A dang good one. Also the poster is on Blu-ray. But Hostage, I really have enjoyed this film. I mean, people doesn't talk that much, but this is actually one of my favorite Bruce Willis movies. And Hostage is an action thriller based on the novel. I think was based on the novel by best-selling novel by Robert Grace with the same name. And on Wikipedia, I read it that it's actually the same story, except that it's kind of changed because in this movie, Walter Smith's crime syndicate is little explained because in the book was actually a mafia behind it. And also the kidnappers in this movie are way too younger, were actually way too young than were in the novel described. So that's kind of the difference. But you can check it out on Wikipedia yourself. Hostage was also produced by Bruce Willis, and his own daughter, Rumor Willis, was in this movie. She wanted the part to play his daughter, but Bruce Willis made her audition like anyone else, so she got the part. So she played his real life daughter. She played Jeff Tally's daughter. In the opening scene, when you see Bruce Willis with long hair and beard, that beard was actually his real beard, but the long hair were actually a wig in it. So yeah, so that's how he's shaved and he's bald like me, but he's awesome. Would you sacrifice another family to save your own? That's the tagline on it. You can check it out. And it's a really good action thriller. It's a fun, really good action thriller. And it's also kind of a little intense because you try to find out what will happen, what's going on next. And I'll say another Die Hard movie that Bruce Willis did. I know it's not a Die Hard movie, but it kind of feels a little like Die Hard. Of course, it's not. The movie talks about LA SWAT team negotiator Jeff Talley after he can't save a young kid and a young boy and his mother from their father who became actually a kidnapper, and because he wanted to find out his wife's boyfriend, and for 16 hours they were negotiating. But because Jeff Talley tried to prevent the massacre, he tried to prevent that no one will die. But sadly, the father of the boy and the husband of the woman gets pissed, and he has enough. So he goes and he kills both of them. He kills his wife, his son, and himself. And Jeff Talley failed to save everyone. He failed. So he quit LA. So he quit SWAT team and LAPD, and he moved with his family to actually a peaceful community. And he moved to Bristol Camino, nearby Ventura County, which is actually a peaceful community, a peaceful town. And he becomes the captain of the police force in small town. The sheriff department. He becomes the captain of the small sheriff's department. And while it's a regular day, and because his daughter, he doesn't like him, she asks when they're gonna get divorced. She's just not that kind of type, that she would like him. And and she just wasn't so sweet of him. So meantime, there's actually a Smith family who are actually live up there on the hills, and they're like three boys. Dennis, Kevin, and Mars. Dennis and Kevin are both they're actually both brothers. The other one is their friend Mars, and they all three they are planning to rob someone. So they actually follow the girl. They go and they follow the girl to their home. They all three they both of them, Mars and Dennis are breaking into Smith's home, but because the young kid Tommy, he's actually son of Walter Smith. He triggers a silent alarm. At that time, the first police officer responds to the call, to the emergency call, and she shows up. So when both of them, both of them, they're actually which of course Kevin shows up, and Mars and Mars and Dennis, they both grab the gun, and they want to steal the car. They want just to rob Smith, but because Dennis gets so pissed off because the cop shows up, he goes and hits Walter and hits him unconscious. And then and when the police officer shows up and she doesn't, wants to go away, she turns around. Mars grabs the gun and shoots her in the back and kills her. He kills the poor girl. The poor girl gets killed, and the poor girl, the cop, she gets killed, and Jeff Talley shows up. At that time, they start firing, and I love when Jeff goes with the car and turns out, and Mars starts firing him, bam, 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 with his Beretta 9mm, bam, 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 and he starts shooting on him. He tries to save his police officer, but the girl, the police officer, the cop, she dies. So the negotiating started it, and now Tommy and Jennifer, the young sister, are both now hostages in the whole house. And I love when Dennis says fucking rich guys, and Bruce Willis says also fucking rich guys, because they turn around whole fences, and now the whole house became a battle for survival. And while they tried to tie up and neutralize Tommy and Jennifer, Tommy somehow slips away. And in the meantime, when another negotiator shows up, and of course Will Beckler, Robert Knapper is in this movie. And I forgot to mention, but Marshall Allman and Robert Knapper, they were both in Prison Break, and T-Bag is in this movie, and L.J. Burroughs is in this movie also. Marshall Allman plays Kevin, the brother of Dennis, Kevin Kelly, and Robert Knapper plays a police officer negotiator, and that's of course Will Beckler, which is kind of awesome. That's kind of awesome about Will Beckler. So after Jeff Talley, leaves, he leaves and wants to go home. Actually, he gets kidnapped by two masked men, and they force him with a gun that he has to follow them. So he goes follow them, and in the reflections back, he sees that his family is actually been kidnapped, and they want a DVD that's actually in Smith's home. They want this DVD really badly, so they kidnap Jeff Talley's wife and his daughter, and if he doesn't, his wife will be killed, and his daughter, they will be both killed, and he has no chance but to cooperate. So he goes back and he tries to call him, and of course, well, he goes back home and he finds his dog dead, which is kind of sad. Thank God it wasn't so graphic in my opinion. He goes, he gets weapons, and of course that time Tommy, when he sees Jeff Talley on the TV, he calls him, through her sister's cell phone and asks him for help. And I love that, that I love how the kid and Bruce Willis are talking from phone to phone, just like in Die Hard, and I love that scene. I really love that scene, which is fantastic scene. I love that very much. But yeah, I really love that scene. Jeff goes and negotiate with Dennis, so they actually release Walter, and they do that, and Jeff and two of his men that actually get stripped so that they see that there's no weapon. They take Walter away because he's hurt, and Jeff needs that Walter gets wake up, so awake, so that he tells him what happened to his family and what DVD they need. What DVD? Because Jeff Talley doesn't know much what's going on. Why these criminals now suddenly, this syndicate of criminals, masked man, kidnap his wife and his daughter, and he doesn't know, what's going on. All he knows, he has to do whatever it takes, and he's running time away from the clock. He's running, in the race of the time before Mars, which he finds out that Mars is actually a psycho. He's a psychopath, and he kills people before he kills everyone. He is running out of time, and he doesn't know how to get this, how to save his family and get out of the mess. And in the meantime, he tries to save 2 kids who are actually hostages in this house by 3 psychos. And of course, he tries to negotiate with Dennis. He tries to save Dennis. He tries to save them because he knows the shooters, the SWAT is gonna kill them. They're gonna go in the house. They're gonna all kill them all unless Jeff do something about it. And that's what he does. He goes and he does something about it. And and I love, how Tommy calls, how Tommy goes and calls Jeff, and Jeff tries to save the kid. I love that. I love the scene when he goes and he saves the kid. And he tells him about the DVD. He has to go, so the kid tries to get those DVDs. I just love the fucking movie, man. I mean, the kid goes, just like in Die Hard, he climbs in those pipes, or he climbs those pipes. He goes those elevator shafts. He goes he climbs through that shaft, just like John McClane did, and just love the kid. Tries to slip them away. Marshall Altman sees the kid, but he doesn't rush him out. And it's just like in Die Hard, the movie's like in Die Hard, which is awesome. He tries to escape. Mars tries to take Jeff says, let's go with a helicopter. He tries to convince them to turn themselves in. That only 3 guys with $2 million, they go in they actually go with the helicopter. But because Mars was eager, he wanted to take Jennifer with him. That's Jennifer with him, and that's Mars with him. And because negotiation is over, so they had to call off the helicopters. And of course, Jeff, he has to go back. Now a group of men dressed as FBI shows up and say we're going in. And of course, the man who kidnapped the wife and the daughter of Bruce Willis, he says, we're going in. Now, who cares? Or they are feds, or now they're going in, and you can't do nothing about it. And that time, I love when Tommy goes and saves Jennifer, and he grabs a gun, and Mars shows up. I forgot to mention Mars because Kevin says, I'm gonna let him go. And he goes, Mars grabs Mars grabs Kevin for the behind, grabs and shows him out of the balcony. He shows him out of the balcony, out of the porch, and Kevin falls down and he starts dying. And Dennis thinks that the SWAT shoot him. He, because he cares about his brother, and he thought the SWAT shoots him. Says, Marcel, and Marcel says, I'm gonna do. It says, do something. I'm gonna do something, and grabs the gun. And Dennis looks at him and shoots him and kills him. He goes and kills him, and both the brothers now die. And now Tommy tries to save Jennifer, but Mars shows up. He grabs the gun, the kid, but he forgot to take the safety off because he didn't know. And Mars says point, and he tries to shoot, but no, nothing happened. And I love when Jennifer goes dies, and she when Mars, I think he throws the kid on the floor, and Jennifer grabs the knife, stabs him right in the mouth. Very bloody scene. She goes and stabs in the mouth. They both escape to that air shaft. They both escape to the air shaft, and Mars goes after them, and Jeff calls them, and he gets scared. And I love that he gets panic and scared, and he says, I'm gonna. His man says, I'm gonna save those family for all costs. He goes like a badass he is with a shotgun. There's a scene, he's a badass with a shotgun, with his gun. He goes and on the car while the fast tries to get in. He goes to the car, breaks the car, and this guy, Mars, who was chasing both Jennifer and Tommy, he wrote "burn it," and he starts burning everything. And when Bruce Willis goes with a police car, Mars grabs that torch, with the bottle of the torch, throws the torch the car, and I love Bruce Willis' reaction, like everything is on the fire. And like Mars is a fucking psycho, man. He goes and when two FBI are looking, for those DVD, he throws the bottle of the torch at fire, and like all those FBI are dead. He goes, from the shaft, shoots one of the FBI agents in the head. Really crazy. And I love the scene when Jeff, with his shotgun, he shows up, with his shotgun, he shows up in the burning fire, and he sees both of them. And I love when Tommy, hacks him, and they go, and he tries to save them, and this FBI agent shows up and doesn't want to let him go. He shots Jeff, and he throws in the DVD. By the time Mars shows up and throws the bottle in the FBI, he gets burnt, and Jeff grabs the gun, shoots the bad guy, and he grabs, with the towers, grabs Jennifer and Tommy, and all three, they try to escape. And I love the scene when they actually escape. No, I forgot to mention the scene, and Mars shows up, and he shows the bottles with burning flame water bottles, and he tries to kill all of them, but then he goes and kills himself, and he burns, and now all three, they actually escape. And I love when Jeff saves all three of them. So he talks to Walter, and they go together to save his family, because the guy's now pissed because they lost DVD. But he says, shut up, but Jeff tells him, shut up and listen. And he gives him Walter Smith. They go in the meeting, they go together, and Walter gives them the codes for the bank. And I think it was actually about the money. And of course, Walter says, he actually saw my face, and saw yours, he saw my face, shoot him. He goes and shoots the bad guy in the head, and Bruce Willis goes with his gun, probably was Glock, or doesn't matter which gun was. He goes, shoots all the bad guys. There's a great shootout. Some masked man guy shoots at him, and Bruce Willis goes, shoots him. And he goes to the main bad guy who kidnapped his wife and his daughter, goes, keeps firing him, which was a really good scene. And then he goes and saves and he goes and both women, both his wife and his daughter are alive. They're safe. Kevin Pollak's character smiles, and then of course the movie ends because Jeff saved both. He saved the kid, and he saved the young kid and the young girl. He saved both of them, and and by the end, Kevin Pollak saved Jeff Tally's life, and he shot the bad guy in the head. He saved him, and it's just really good movie, man. Really good movie. I really have enjoyed Hostage by Bruce Willis. The helicopters. It's actually really not that long film. It's not over 2 hours long film. It's 1 hour 50 minutes somewhere there. It's more actually 1 hour 50 minutes 51 minutes somewhere there. 1 hour 53 minutes is actually long somewhere there. It's not that long. Directed was Bruce Willis was also producer in this movie, and director was by doesn't say who directed this movie. Not on this cover. Actually didn't wrote down who actually directed this movie. I think. Well, doesn't matter. This is also based on the role, but whoever directed, he did a good job. I don't know the director, and I'm not gonna go check it now. But the director and the writer did a good job writing this film. Bruce Willis was producing this movie, and Bruce Willis did a really fine job. Jeff Talley. The reason why I put this movie about Mercury Rising, because in this movie, Bruce Willis goes on his own to save the two children, and I love when Tommy goes and hugs the kid, hugs Bruce Willis, and I think that the actor who played Tommy Smith, Jimmy Bennett, did a fantastic job. He was awesome. He wasn't annoying. He was better than Michael Hughes in Mercury Rising, but that's just me. I read that Michelle Horn and Ben Foster dated they both dated during filming this movie that time. And this was before Sin City came out. This was back in 2005, which came out. Now, the budget of this movie was $52 million. Opening weekend US and Canada was only $9 million, and $800 million. It made worldwide $77 million, which surpassed the budget, and it grows in US and Canada $34 million. And of course the cast, Kevin Pollak, he was in the whole 9 yards, which I reviewed the film, as Walter Smith. This is the second collaboration between him and Bruce Willis, except if they were in some other films, which I don't know. Kevin Pollak did a good job. Michelle Horn was awesome. But to me, the reason why it's one of my favorite Bruce Willis films is also the kid. Jimmy Bennett was awesome. This kid, he was smart, he was awesome, he was great. This kid took the heart out of me, and that's one of the reason it's so good film. This kid was so great, and that's Ben Foster, a psycho. I enjoy Ben Foster. He was really disturbing psycho. This guy was a huge psycho. He wanted to kill everyone. They really did good job. The fire scenes was I think was a few CGI, but still a good ones. It was just a really good movie. I really have enjoyed. Hostage is an action thriller. It's a really good movie. And of course, and also the character Mars was modeled after Bay Area rap artist Mars by Robert Grace. and which was one of his friends, was also named Dennis. That's why the reasons Mars and Dennis were kept in, because on this movie of the kidnappers, because in the book, but Robert Price, because in the book, which was the novel 2001, was actually the kidnappers were more older, while in this movie they're actually much younger. And there's a little explanation in what kind of crime was Smith involved. It's a little explanation. I think was some mop in the novel. I never read the novel, but I did enjoy this film. One of the reasons why I got this on Blu-ray. And Hostage, definitely one of really good ones from Bruce Willis. A solid movie, a really good one. I mean, it's a really good movie. And like I said, Bruce Willis was actually producer of this movie. His daughter Amanda, she has a little cameo scenes in the film, but she doesn't speak that much. But still, she still does a good job. And I have really enjoyed. This is rated R film. And Bruce Willis still acts, like like he did in the 90s, but he's still a good in his role as Jeff Talley, which became a chief of police in a sleepy town. Also, Jonathan Tucker, who plays Dennis, he's supposed to be the leader, but actually it's Mars calling the shots. He's still a good job. Jonathan Tucker did a awesome job. Marshall Allman was actually better, but for a little small film that was released on DVD and Blu-ray, is still a good one. In my opinion, Hostage is still a good movie. Probably many people didn't see it, but Hostage was a good one by Bruce Willis. If you haven't seen the film, you should check it out. This wasn't released in movie theater by Bruce Willis. I'm definitely sure that the first 3 Die Hard movies and the 4th one was released. This movie wasn't released. It was definitely not released in movie theater. The Fifth Element was, which I just reviewed. But yeah, would you sacrifice another family to save your own? Hostage. Still, when Bruce Willis wears a wig, he looks so realistic, and his mustache, his beard was still look realistic, so that's still awesome. But yeah, that's my movie review on Hostage. Came out 2005. An action thriller, which is definitely one of my favorite Bruce Willis films. Definitely I'll do, when I review all the Bruce Willis films, I will actually do a video, and I'm gonna talk about my top 11 favorite Bruce Willis films. But that's my movie review on Hostage 2005. Thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you tomorrow, which is a Christmas Eve, for our next review, and that's of course going to be Sin City, which is my favorite movie of all time. I'm out, take care, peace, see you later.